So this is video 8 for chapter 3. I'm going to call it solving equations both ways. Usually I just shorten that to say solving both ways. So that means if I have an equation that has two variables, like in this case I have an x and a y variable, you're going to need to be able to solve it. If I give you y, solve it for x, or if I tell you what x is, solve it for y. So here's an example. And we're going to show our work. You hopefully can show your work on here, but get another piece of paper if you need to. Just make sure you staple it to your notes. So my equation is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6. And I want to know, so write this in, find x when y is 20. And I'm also going to ask you to find y if x is equal to 18. So that's what I mean by solving it both ways. You kind of have to do each problem twice. So for the first one, find x when y equals 20. So I'm going to write down my equation. Always start by copying down your equation. Negative 2/3 x plus 6. If I know that y is equal to 20, then where I see the y, I'm going to substitute it in, fill it in, 20. And then copy the rest of my problem down again. Now you can see that I only have one variable left, x. That's what I'm going to try to get by itself. So this is a normal two-step equation. I'm just going to cancel things out until x is alone. So we cancel out adding and subtracting first. Minus 6 from both sides. That would give me 14. Negative 2/3 x equals 14. Then remember we cancel out a fraction with the reciprocal. So it's still a negative. So multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. Okay, this is that trick where we can kind of do this in our head pretty easy. If I do 14 divided by 2, that would be 7, times negative 3. So 7 times 3 is 21, and I get a negative. And that's all I got to do. This all canceled out, so I bring down my x by itself. So x would be equal to 21, negative 21, when y is equal to 20. So I can even take that a little bit further. And I can put that together as a point. If I was going to graph this, actually, so a little bonus information here. If I graph that, remember we graph x comma y on a graph, so this would be negative 21 comma 20. That would be a point on the graph of that line. Okay, so now what if I want to find y when x is equal to 18? Well, I always copy down my equation first. Now if they tell me x is 18, I can plug that in right there for the x and rewrite it. So I still have y is equal to negative 2/3 now times 18, and I like to use parentheses, so I keep everything kind of straight there. So I can see that I'm going to be doing this negative 2/3 times the 18. Those get multiplied together. So I can still draw my line down, but you'll realize that your variable is already here, and it's already all by itself. It's already alone. So there's nothing you have to do to cancel things out. I simply have to do the math over here on this right-hand side and work it out and get an answer. So this one, I actually follow order of operations. PEMDAS, right? Follow order of operations, just do this math and work it out. So PEMDAS said parentheses. No, I don't have anything to do in the parentheses. Exponents, no exponents. So multiplication and division. I would multiply those together first. Remember, use our shortcut. So 18 divided by 3 in your head, that's 6, times the negative 2. So it looks like I get negative 12. And then bring down my plus 6. And negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. So there's no canceling out here. I'm just doing the math, working it out, and getting an answer. So again, if I wanted to put that together, I could say when x is 18, y is negative 6. Okay? Okay, so let's do another example. For the equation y equals 3x minus 7, copy down the equation. You might have to write a little bit small to fit it in here, or get another sheet of paper. When x is 6, okay, when x is 6, I'm going to plug that in and rewrite it. So I get 3 times 6 minus 7. Notice that my variable's all by itself already. When the variable's already by itself, we follow PEMDAS. Just do order of operations and work this out and get an answer. So multiplication before subtraction, this would be 18 minus 7, and 18 minus 7 is 11. That's it. Okay, what about when y is 38? All right, write your equation down again. 3x minus 7. Now plug this 38 in place of the y. So 38 equals 3x minus 7. Now find your variable. The variable here is mixed in. It's got other stuff around it. So now I do have to cancel things out until I get that x by itself. So here's where we do SADMAP. Right? This is PEMDAS, but in reverse order. I got to work backwards to cancel things out until I get the variable by itself. So in this case, cancel out adding and subtracting first. So plus 7 to both sides. Cross out what cancels, bring it down. 38 plus 7 is 45. And then last step, divide by 3. I'm kind of out of room, but I get x is equal to, after I divide by 3 on both sides, x is equal to 15. Okay, so in each one of these problems, you're going to have one where you plug in x and solve for y, and then one where you plug in y and solve for x. We'll do one more together. How about this one? It says, what is y when x is 50? If you need to, maybe over here you'll have a little bit more room. So I copy it down. Now I'm going to plug in 50 here for x and rewrite it. So 50 divided by 5 minus 12. Find your variable. Variable's right here. It's already by itself. When it's by itself, PEMDAS. Just follow order of operations, work it down, and get an answer. So 50 divided by 5, well, that's 10. Bring down the minus 12. 10 minus 12, negative 2. There we go. All right, one more. What about that same problem where y is equal to 3? So copy it down. Now fill in 3 here for y. Substitute that in. Okay, find your variable. I like to highlight it so I can see where it's at. Variable here is mixed in. When it's mixed in, I know I have to do SADMAP or PEMDAS backwards. So I start with canceling out, adding and subtracting to work backwards and get the variable by itself. So plus 12, plus 12. Copy everything down again. Next step would be to multiply both sides by 5. So cross out what cancels, and it looks like I get x is equal to 75. Okay? All right. So you try this next one right here. Y is equal to 72 minus 2.5x. Remember, copy it down every time. Then plug in what you know, then figure out where your variable is and decide if you're doing PEMDAS or SADMAP, which way are you going, and then work to get your answer. So finish up 2 and 4. You're going to finish up the front side and then come back and check. So I've put the answers up here for the last two, A and B, for both of them. So hopefully you tried them. Okay, you need to actually finish plugging in, doing the work, and just check with those answers. And then after you finish this side, you're done with the video. We will come back and do the rest of it together later, so don't worry about the back side, but just finish the front, showing your work, and then checking with the answers you see here.